Good morning and good afternoon. And I wanted to take a quick moment to give a brief overview of slides because this is going to help with various things, whether you are a new user for Google Slides or you're a student in my classroom and what have you. This is, again, just a basic overview to get you kind of started. Now, when you first go to slides, there's a couple ways to get there. If you already have a Google account, you can simply navigate up to your Google Apps. Now, your Google Apps might look a little bit different than mine, but you simply navigate to slides and it'll bring you to a screen. And the screen will look something like I have up here. Now, mine's going to be a little bit different because I've done things in the past here. And you'll basically have a couple of sub windows here. One, if you've already used slides a little bit, you'll be able to search your previous slides. Or you could start a new presentation, and they have a couple of different themes or templates that you could choose from. Or you'll be able to select from stuff that has been created, shared, or is owned by you, okay, from the past. Now, for this particular activity, I'm going to start with a blank presentation. And we're not going to go into themes. We're not going to get into anything such as that. So I'm going to close out templates and all that good stuff because, quite frankly, if you're a student in the classroom or you're new to it, you might create and use a template that's not really designed for what you're trying to present. So first thing we need to do here is recognize, one, we have a couple of different things going on here. Up in the main menu area here, you got a couple of drop-down menus. You got File, Edit, View, Insert, Format, Slide, Arrange, Tools, Extensions, and Help. You use the File button for maybe importing or making a copy or downloading or your basic setup. Inside the edit features, you can see that you kind of got the undo, redo, pasting, deleting, so on and so forth. You got a couple of different ways to change your view, like if you like the ruler that's here on the screen here, this is your ruler right here. You can have that on there. As you're viewing the slideshow, you can see what will launch that. You got a couple of different things here. If you want to leave comments, you can leave comments. And there's a couple of different options. We're not going to go into this huge detail. There is a zoom feature should you choose to use that. You got insert, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about insert here in a few moments. You got your basic format dealing with text and text alignment and information that appears on the slide itself. You've got things dealing with the slide itself, such as using a template or duplicating a slide or changing a background or transitions and such. We'll talk about more about that in probably my next video. And then, of course, how things are aligned or arranged. And, of course, you got other tools and extensions or apps that are added to Google Chrome to help use the tools itself. And, of course, you got a help menu. Now, what I'm going to focus on today is the insert area, okay? Now, I'm going to focus on in a few minutes. Now, here we can see that this is your slide sorting screen. You can see all your slides in order. In fact, if I were to add another slide, what it does is it adds slide number 2 in this case, and it chooses its own format. Now, if I wanted to use a different format or show different format templates, I could choose those from over there. Should I go for that? I'm not going to for this exercise, okay? So let's go back up to slide number 1. Now, when you add these slides, there's already boxes for you to put basic text in. All right, nothing else but basic text, okay? So we'll just call this area your title because that's exactly what it is, okay? You can call this whatever. If you're working on a project or the presentation is called something, this is where you want to spell that out for anybody you are presenting the information to. And then if you have a subtitle, you could use that here. If you don't have a subtitle, you don't have to have one in there. And my recommendation is just to delete it. Now, if you don't want any of these up here, what you do is you simply select the text box itself and then simply press the delete or the backspace, and that will eliminate the boxes themselves. You could also move the boxes around should you choose to by clicking and dragging. Now you'll notice that there are two different types of, quote, crosshairs here. There's the white crosshair that you see here that allows you to move the whole text box itself. But if I move it over a little bit, I see that my crosshair changes to arrows, which allows me to change the individual sections. And those don't change unless I'm hovering over one of the squares. And those squares have to deal with those particular axes, okay? So this is obviously changing the size up and down, oops, wrong button, and such, changing the bottom axis and what have you. Now, if you ever make a mistake and you realize you did something you didn't want to do, you can simply Control Z or use the undo feature from this menu. And we'll talk about this menu here in a few moments. So let's get everything back to normal here. All right, so click to add title and click to add subtitle. So let's just say I wanted to call this my first presentation. There we go. And then subtitle, let's do done by me. All right, simple enough. And as you can see, Slides automatically chooses a basic, nice black color, almost in bold, if you will, for the title. And then the subtext is in kind of like a dark grayish there. Now, let's go ahead and add a secondary slide. Now, I'm just going to call this secondary slide second slide. And obviously, if you had let's use the proper format here. If you have an actual title for this area, you would give it a title based off the content, okay? Now, here they've given us an option for adding basic text. And you could do that. You know, you could add a simple sentence. So add a simple sentence, period. You could even write a paragraph and, continue to write. I'm just going to paragraph it there, okay? You can write a whole paragraph. Now, I don't recommend that because in visual presentations, people don't want to sit and read a paragraph, that sort of thing. But my recommendation often is to use the bullet points with your leveling, okay? I like to use bullet points when I'm just presenting simple ideas, okay? So for simple ideas, I might have a main idea up here, okay? And then I'm going to choose bullet points. Now down here, we have our tool window. And our tool window consists of a couple things from search the menus for doing things, adding a new slide as you saw earlier, adding a template. We have your undo and your redo, prints, painting and formatting and zooming in. If you wanted to zoom in, you could fit the window. You got your standard select arrow or cursor. You got your text box. You got your insert an image. You have insert a shape, insert a line, or selecting a line. That's a new tool. I'll have to learn what that is. You got your fill color for the box itself, for painting the actual text box over like a background. You got your border, so you could actually change the border of the text box like you see here. If you don't want it to appear in blue or nothing, you could actually have it come into like a certain color, your thickness. And there's some other tools in there. What I want to do is point out over here, you could change your text. You got Arial here, and you could change your text here to any text that you would like and change the font. Now, for those text to take effect, you actually have to select it or have those set before you start typing, okay? But you can see here, you can change that, make it bold, italicize it, not italicize it. You got your text color here. And then, of course, if you were to highlight something, you got your highlight tool right there. You could insert links and add comments. Now, if you were wanting to do a main idea with a couple of points and subpoints, you might have your main idea 1. Okay, and notice I had the bold selected, so it's all typing in bold, which is fine if you want to do that, if that fits your format. If not, you could just select it and undo it. And I'm going to press the Enter key, but first, or next, I'm going to go ahead and come down to this 3 dots over here and then choose my bulleted list. And notice what happens. I get a bullet point. So I might have a subpoint here, subpoint here, and a subpoint here. I never want to use bullet points if I'm only talking about one thing, because then it defeats the purpose of the bullet point. So you use your main idea and then a point or a subpoint. Additionally, you might even have the main idea as a bullet point, and notice what happens there. You have your main idea. Now, everything as a subpoint should be leveled over to the next one to indicate that it is a subpoint. So, example, if you were doing a presentation about baseball, you might talk about a couple of different things. You might talk about offense or batting, and then you might talk about defense or being in the field, okay? And then you might also have pitching that you would talk about as separate key points here, okay? So that's a way to think about main idea and subpoints. However, if you don't have subpoints, or maybe you have main idea and a couple of other main ideas, you might put like main idea number 2 or main idea number 3 in your bullet points should you choose to go that route. Now, understand that slides is just a way to present information. Now, if I wanted to, I could tell slides, hey, I want to input, say, an image. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and insert an image, and it's going to ask me, what do I want to insert? Do I want to upload from my computer? Do I want to search for the web? Do I want to access my Google Drive? Well, let's just say I wanted to search the web, and we were just talking about baseball. So let's look at baseball. You know what? Let's college baseball, because I'm a big college baseball fan. I love the college baseball season. I find it to be more competitive than, say, MLB for various reasons, you know, because of the disparagement on the field as far as like the different levels of playing ability, so on and so forth. I see a couple of good images that are definitely worth using there. I didn't go to Rice, but let's just use Rice. It looks like they're celebrating a home run or something. So I'm going to select that, and it looks like my screen's in the way there, but I'm going to, oops, not that. Let me move my image real quick, and I'm going to insert. There it is. And now I have that image inserted. Now there are a couple of different options. I could use format options to play with that. And I can see I can mess with the size, rotation, the position, the color. I can do a drop shadow on it, which is a neat little effect, or a reflection, so on and so forth. So all I've done is added some text and added an image, okay? And that's how Slides operates. It operates based off of, here is a blank slate that you could present to people. What would you like to present to them, okay? What I've covered is I've covered text and images. And I've also kind of briefly broke down what you could find up in this area here, okay? Now, there's several other things that you could insert as well, and you can kind of see this here. You can insert images. You can insert a text box where you put in text. You can insert a shape. Sometimes shapes are really useful to draw points or ideas or diagram something. You could even do your own diagram. You could do a table, a chart. You can attach a chart to, say, like an Excel, or I'm sorry, a Sheets file. You can insert a line or a word art if you wanted to do a fancy title, okay? And then, of course, you got video, audio. You can do a YouTube video, etc. You could do insert an animation, which we'll talk about in the next video, and such. So I hope this clarifies things for you. Again, we talked about one, you know, how you can kind of see everything in the slide organization screen and select your slides. We briefly showed you what was available in the drop-down menus in the tools menu. We showed you how to input text here, and then, of course, title screens, add slides, and how to title a slide, and how to create some bullet points or text, and even how to insert an image. And tell you what, let's make this image just a little bit better. You can click and drag images, so on and so forth. All right, I hope that helps you out and that you found this presentation useful.